Okay. Very good. Give folks maybe a few minutes to clean the room. And then
Okay. Well, maybe we can do a public comment. I haven't called a story yet. Let me know when you think
people are coming on. The website's been updated, so we're and there's no, the email that was sent out didn't have the link, so it was
It's
just the
just a
website
go.
they needed to do. Yeah.
Or I actually the authentication code.
Three people.
change.
7403.
I think it just changed. This is one.
6738.
Is it the 819-809-588-101 now, or what's the correct one?
819-8095-8810.
Do you want me to?
Let me just email the committee.
Yeah, let me know.
Okay, the last part of this is backwards, so
We'll back it up. Okay.
819-8095. That's good. 979-611.
79. Sorry.
979-611.
Okay. 0.
I don't think that password's correct. We'll tell them.
979-611. Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
so I think this one goes to this.
I'll respond to Michael Savage. Yeah, I'm good with the website. We have some people, it's not probably max, but it's a decent number. It's all together. It's a lot.
It would be okay if it was together.
What's the name? I can be easier on the you have.
Okay, Mike. So what does this go to?
How's it looking? All right.
Yeah, ready.
This is the last part.
All right. It is 7:09, and I'm calling us to order. when we're through public comment, let me know if it's looking like people are still having trouble, and then we'll kind of decide how we want to proceed. But I'll call us to order. Happy New Year, happy January. I'll start with a quick roll call, although I think all the commissioners are here. Commissioner Anderson.
Present.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman here. Commissioner Galvan.
Here.
Commissioner Hurst. Here. Commissioner Pinckney.
Present.
Commissioner Sani.
Present.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Welcome all. We'll go straight into public comment up to 10 minutes altogether, up to 2 minutes per speaker. If you're online, use the raise hand feature and we'll call on you. And if you're in the room, raise your actual hand and we'll call on you. So with that, we'll turn to public comment.
I'll
Yes.
defer to the folks online first if they have a comment.
All right. Is there anyone online that's raised their hand?
I do not see any raised hands.
All right, Mr. Dyer from
Excellent.
DPR.
Thank you, guys, and I apologize for jumping early into the agenda.
What's the best place for him to start?
Just
People at
right
home
close
here.
to his fine, Commissioner.
So anyway, my name is Christopher Dyer. I'm the Community Engagement Manager for the DC Department of Parks and Recreation. Happy New Year, everyone. I just wanted to come in and very quickly give you some updates about what's happening with DPR and answer any questions you or your constituents might have. I'm also an ANC commissioner in ANC 2F, so I have a great deal of respect and admiration for the work you guys are doing. And this is my second time at this commission meeting. Very quickly, there will be a slide deck afterwards. The sites at DPR in the site, we obviously have Edgewood and we have Tanner Park. There are a couple of websites that we use that are pretty good for everyone to visit. The DPR.events site gives us all of the information about events that are upcoming. It's not as busy in the winter as it is in the summer, but go to DPR events. The main site you want to look at though is dprprograms.com. That is when we do that's where you sign up for all of our classes, all of our programming. We do programming every quarter. Our next registration date for spring programs is on March 1st and March 2nd. March 1st will be the day that we sign up for aquatics classes because everyone and their cousin wants to do it. March 2nd will be for everything else, including pickleball and a variety of other sports and programming and cultural. I know people smile and laugh. Pickleball's been the bane of my existence. Anyway, I digress. So the other interesting thing, dpr.dc.gov/locations. If you're looking for if you're looking for a specific community center, the other interesting thing about that is if you click on the various rec sites that are there, you'll also be able to pull up schedules of what the programs are being offered currently at those programs, plus all the permits that have been issued that are in our rec track system. That's a new feature that we've added. Also, you can sign up for DPR alerts if you want to get an update on when we close something, which sometimes happens. dpr.dc.gov/permits is where you go to sign up for permits. We do require a permit for anyone who wants to do an activity for 10 or more people. We do encourage you to do it earlier. There is a 3-week turnaround time, or there's a minimum sometimes you have to apply up to 3 weeks before your event. There's also, for most people, we'll do a special event permit. There's a specific link on the page, including the ANC commissioners. There's a special event page link that you can sign up to do an event. So the very important thing, and the reason I'm here today, besides giving you these websites, is summer is coming, believe it or not. I know. And I am very pleased to announce that starting on January 29th, you'll be able to go to dprsummercamp.com and see a complete list of all of our summer camp programs. And I'm even more pleased that on February 12th, from February 12th to the 24th, or whatever that period is, you can go and sign up for the lottery to get into summer camp. We are repeating the summer camp lottery program. It was very, very popular or very unpopular, depending on who you talk to, but it really, really helped. So we strongly encourage everyone here, if you don't have a DPR account, or even if you do have an account, go in and check out to make sure that your password works and that everything is current, so that you don't want to, get the screen of death when you're trying to sign up. And then you don't call and sit on the phone with us for an hour wondering what's going on. I digress. So we strongly encourage you to do that and go check out our website. Finally, we have released our DPR Ready to Play plan, which provides a guideline, a map, a guidepost for our next 20 years of development. And also you can now put in 311 maintenance requests. The Department of General Services is actually responsible for the maintenance of all our properties. You can now put 311 ticket in requests for a lot of DPR or maintenance related stuff. And that's really helpful to us. Feel free to also, after you put in the ticket, send me an email. My email address is christopher.dyer@dc.gov. And I have some of the commissioners have emailed me because they raised concerns. And I try to get back within 24 hours of the next business day. And sometimes it's a little bit longer depending on the complexity of the question. My cell phone is 202-702-9453. Feel free to bug me, text me. Actually, I prefer emails because it helps me track everything. And also, when you're submitting a maintenance request, please include a photo. I know that everyone who's in government understands that rule now, but it really, really helps us, especially when I forward it to say, hey, will you guys go fix that? So that in a nutshell is everything going on around DPR. Summer camp is coming, and we're excited about that. And I'll be able to answer any questions you might have.
Unless there's objection, we can pause here to allow any questions from anyone in the audience or commissioners, since Mr. Dyer, I think, has to leave in a little bit. So any questions for Mr. Dyer from DPR? We'll start with commissioners and then the audience.
Commissioner, how are you?
I worry you about all years, not just now.
Harry Thomas?
Is there any update on the Harry Thomas Recreation Center budget? Is it still in the budget?
Yes, the Harry Thomas will be up for a capital project for a renovation. I do not know exactly the date that starts, but what happens with our capital projects is once we, get it on board and once we start getting a contractor, we'll start a series of community engagement sessions. And because Harry Thomas is rather large, on a bigger complex project, I think we'll have up to 5 community engagement sessions around that. So keep your eyes out for the inbox once we get ready. I don't remember if it's supposed to start in FY24 or FY25, but
I think it's 24.
it's 24. Okay, then I will follow up and you can also say, hey, what's going on with it? But again, just because it's budgeted in FY24 doesn't mean that we actually will run out of all the money. So we will hope to begin that process. So we have a lot of capital projects in the pipeline. We have over 100 going on at any given time across the city. So sometimes it takes us a moment with DGS to get the contractors on board, but I imagine we'll be starting with Harry Thomas pretty soon.
Thank you.
Other commissioners, Commissioner Hurst.
Two questions. One is, have you guys considered there's spring break and there's Christmas, and I work at a school with parents who are fairly desperate for care at both those times. Also, specific special education. There is a real dearth of any option for special education kids and families, and a real desperation around that. Is there anything that DPR can do to help? Because I know that is a hard population to serve.
Actually, to answer your question, we have a winter break camp.
Oh, good.
And we do a lot of out of youth. Yeah, and we also have day camps during spring break, and also when there is a professional development day, we have fun days in a couple of our centers. So you go to dprprograms.com. In terms of special education, we are looking at, different types of programming to offer. I don't know whether we have the capacity to offer a specific dedicated class to special assistants, but we are doing a lot of stuff with, with the handicap. And we do have in our summer camps, we do have the ability, we do have Saturday camps available. So, that's certainly a good idea that we can pass on to our community program.
Other commissioners? Commissioner Sani?
Yes. So I think I've been one of the commissioners who's been emailing you specifically about some questions about shade
Yes.
at Edgewood Rec. I know we've had a lot of neighbors talking about that. Is there a better way for us to engage in maybe more of the capital project?
To be honest, you would want to probably have that as a capital project to add the shade to the site. I mean, we just did about a major renovation of the site, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So again, asking for us to do shade structures and adding shades to that would probably be something to put in as a formal capital request.
Got it. And so that would be best going through the council and mayor's office.
Well, no. You can also send us an email. You guys could pass a resolution if you wanted.
Okay.
But again, when you do capital budget requests, as you may or may not know, we are in budget season right now. We have developed our budget and proposing our budgets to the minutes of the mayor. The mayor will present her budget to the council in March or April, I'm not sure when. And then in that period of time, you guys will have opportunities to also sort of, make recommendations to your council member to add to our budget after the mayor proposes it. The other interesting thing is on February 22nd, we have our first performance agency oversight hearing. If you want to sign up and testify at that, that's always exciting. And then there will be a budget oversight hearing that has not been scheduled yet that you guys can also participate and your residents can also participate in. We encourage that actively. I actually encourage people to do that. The pickleball community last year did a pretty interesting job in organizing and ended up having about 45 or 50 people testify at the hearing, which was kind of interesting, but impressive grassroots organizing.
Right, thank you for your answer.
Yeah, thank you.
Other commissioners? All right, questions from anyone in the audience? Mr. Aaron Price.
Brief question. Do you have a specific contact that can speak more to youth-centric programming? Maybe besides summer camps, maybe after school care or different youth-centric programming that neighbors can sign up for?
Okay, if you take a look at our classes that we do offer our programming, and specifically, because there is a lot of, we do have after-school care and afternoon access programs at most of our rec centers for students to come in. We also have some of our centers set up to provide study breaks. But if you have specific questions, feel free to email me. I'll connect you with our program team, our community program team. We're, always look, or do you have a specific suggestion or do you have a specific program that you like to pitch, or you just have to want some general, more broader questions about how we go about doing our business?
More broad.
Yeah, so send me an email at christopher.dyer@dc.gov and I will connect you with the right people.
Thank you so much.
And really a question from someone asking on chat. Could you please repeat the date the camp lottery opens?
That'll be February 12th, Monday, February 12th. On Monday, January 29th, though, you'll be able to go online at dcsummercamp.com and look at the programs that we're going to be offering for summer camp. So you have a couple of weeks. We're excited that we're a little bit earlier than we were last year because we are now committed to the lottery. So I know that we're also probably not as early as most some of the parents would like. They prefer us to get a little bit earlier, but it's Monday, that February, second Monday in February, it'll open. And please, obviously the commissioners, once I was actually seeing the summer camp blast email being drafted today. Once I get it, as I'm sure you are aware, and you've not put me on your spam folders, and I appreciate that, we will send you an email that you can then share with your constituents. And also, if you go to dprsummercamp.com, we keep that fairly well updated.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Any further questions?
Melissa Kaufman.
Well, no, that's for public comment.
Okay. All right, any last words?
Thank you guys for the work you guys are doing. Commissioner Pickney, it's always lovely to see you in person.
Great.
It's great to see you all in person, and thank you for allowing me to switch up on the agenda. I really appreciate the work you guys are doing, and feel free to reach out to me. You guys are one of the more engaged commissions, and I always appreciate that.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Thank you for everything you do and everyone at DPR. Continuing on with public comment. So was there anyone online?
Yeah, we have two on that.
Okay.
All right. Melissa Kaufman.
All right, Ms. Coughlin.
Let me. Zoom is very janky.
Hi, my name is Melissa Coughlin. I live in Edgewood. I just had a couple of things I was hoping the commission might be able to help with regards to DDOT and some traffic signs. One of them, there's a pedestrian island on the east side of 4th and Rhode Island that for whatever reason people keep plowing over when they're turning east, going southbound on 4th Street. It happened twice this weekend. One car had to be towed and it caused one whole part of Rhode Island Avenue to be closed and traffic had to go in the opposite direction with no police direction or anything like that. It's been happening since like June and I've emailed DDOT, I've put in 311 requests, I've angrily tweeted at them to see if they can like paint it or put those bollards that they love so much on there. Just because I think it's an accident waiting to happen. And I mean, people's cars have been completely ruined by it. So no response from them. It would be great for some help from the ANC maybe to push that along. And then the other thing is there's two traffic signs at 4th and Adams. One is a pedestrian sign for that crosswalk to cross 4th, and the other is a stop sign that have both been like obliterated by people who don't know how to park. This intersection is already, it's not super dangerous, but there's a daycare there. There's lots of pedestrians going to the metro. We've put in requests for the signs to be replaced, and I know DDOT has 130 days according to 311 to fix it. But it would be, they also haven't responded. The first couple of 311 requests, they closed immediately. The other ones they've had open. We've kind of cobbled together something for at least the stop sign. But yeah, wasn't sure if there was anything that the commission could do to try to push these things along as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And we had one more, you said?
It looks like that hand was put down.
Okay,
Sure.
all right. Any further public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to response to public comment. If any commissioner wants to respond to anything, Commissioner Galvin.
Yeah, thanks, Melissa. I apologize if I missed an email, but can you send me those 311 requests? I also walk past there often, and I noticed one of the pedestrian signs was backwards, which was pretty obnoxious on the east side of 4th Street as well. So I'm happy to help try to elevate that and push that forward. If you can forward me some of the correspondence, I'm happy to help.
My trustworthy map here, I think that's the intersection of my district, your district, and Commissioner Williams's district. So I don't know whether we all want to work together on this one. But,
Sure.
For the signage or the
that intersection. The
The
signage,
median.
I think, is
Yeah, the
is just
median.
you two. But
Well, there was back before the redistricting that the request for that median be reduced,
okay.
but they did not do that.
We need a hand
Well,
come up.
we can at least get a letter to them maybe and a response, and we'll see what they say. Sorry, what was that, Commissioner?
There's another hand just went up.
Oh, okay.
Miss Tamba Borber.
All right, we'll go ahead and recognize her.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Not a problem. I had a concern. I'm sorry, Tom Babor. I live in Eckington, and I had a concern with the Emory men's. I think it's the men's shelter. I've noticed since it's opened or reopened that there are a lot of people loitering pretty much the whole day in front of the shelter, and so I was wondering if anything was going to be done about that. If my understanding is that participants or people who use the shelter are supposed to come to use it at night and they're supposed to disperse during the day. But they have been hanging out. I pick up trash just about every morning. I've also noticed that now people are starting to park on Lincoln Road and sleep in their cars. I mean, I know people need a place to sleep, but the shelters, it's just a little bit different than it was prior to it being renovated.
All right, thank you, sir. Sorry, what was the address of the shelter you were talking about?
1725, I believe.
Thank you.
The shelter has been an issue since it opened, actually, or should I say reopened. Prior to it being renovated, it was a work bed program where all the men actually worked all day, came in at night to the shelter. But because of changes in shelters around the city, our shelter is now a 130-bed shelter open to everybody across the city. So we have 130 beds open to everybody. People can actually enter, I believe, at 4 o'clock. We don't have a loitering law where they can't loiter. So I can't exactly speak to that issue. But we do try to keep the trash cleaned up. I have been working with the shelter manager, Mr. Raymond Faxia, and he is very amenable to anything that we would like to do at the shelter. But what I have tried to explain to him and some others that join us is that because the shelter is in Eckington, we have to pull these guys into the community. There are things they can do to help people in the community. For instance, everybody was complaining about the rec center. They were sitting up there, they were eating, making trash. Well, the men at the shelter can help clean up the trash. I mean, now is not a good time to do that, but there are different things that they can help with, and there are different things we can do for them. So it's all about getting them to join in as part of the community. And all I can say is right now, I am working on it, but it is a piece of work.
Other discussion?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
sorry.
if you need additional information on the shelter, contact me.
Thank you, Commissioner Pinckney. Other commissioner response to public comment? Seeing none, I'll close response to public comment. And then according to our bylaws, even before the approval and DC law, even before approval of the agenda or other stuff, we proceed to election of officers for the 2024 year. So I will go ahead and do that. If any of these be contested, then we may have to do ballots, and I think Mr. Aaron Price, the ballots would have to be counted by a non-commissioner. So Mr. Aaron Price, as chair of our Public Safety Committee, may be drafted for that role. I don't know whether will it be. We'll find out if there's any that are contested. We'll start with chair, and I'm not going to read the whole bylaw here. Everybody has access to it, but chair serves as convener of the commission, files the annual report, prepares the first draft of the agenda, manages any personnel or offices, rules on procedural questions, submits and signs and submits all the correspondence and other duties as assigned by the commission. So we'll start by opening up nominations for chair of ANC 5F for 2024.
Someone can nominate someone else.
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner Anderson has been nominated. Do you accept?
I accept.
Are there any other nominations?
Can I do it for self?
Yeah.
I nominate myself.
Commissioner Williams nominates Commissioner Williams. I assume you accept.
Conflicted.
Are there any further nominations? All right. I'll move to close nominations and then we can hear from the candidates. Is there any objection to closing nominations? All right. Let's see. Does anybody have a coin? Do this randomly.
Pretty sure I got a coin. That kind of welcome. Quarter or a nickel.
Mr. Anderson, heads or tails?
Heads.
It's heads. We'll have you go first and then Commissioner Williams.
I'll make this short and sweet. I've served as vice chair of the commission for the past year. And I believe that I'll be able to, I see the role of the chair mostly to kind of help sort out the logistics, make sure everything is done in a timely manner, and to make sure that all commissioners are heard, and would love to continue serving that logistical role.
Mr. Williams?
Oh, boy. I have been an ANC commissioner for the past 8 years. I've chaired several committees prior to this new design rather. And I believe I can help push us further and make the community stronger. Ooh. Okay. That's it.
All right. How would people like to proceed on this? We're not able to do a secret ballot, so either we can do a written ballot that everyone has to sign, or we can do like a roll call like every other vote that we do.
I think we should do it like every other vote.
All right, we'll do it like every other vote. I think, is there any other comment or anything else people want to make on this before we vote?
Are we allowed to ask the respective candidates?
I guess we can do that, yeah. So, well, I guess it's not up to me, it's up to them if you want to do questions from people.
So one thing I've enjoyed about the current shape of the commission is how much we can do via just communicating, not at meetings. I have a lot of demands on my day, for my day job. And so I'd like to kind of get assurances from both candidates that we kind of at least continue the what I see as the positive momentum going forward with regards to that.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the structure that we've had has been really helpful in getting more community engagement as well as engagement from commissioners. I think the hybrid format was a really great idea. And to be able to continue with that, I think would be beneficial to the commission.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote, and I will call the roll. Commissioner Anderson,
I vote for myself.
Mr. Bishop Henschel, on the vote for Anderson, Commissioner Galvan.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
I have a different setup for this, so I
Oh.
need to make sure.
He was in the mountains too.
So who started? So Commissioner Anderson basically voted for herself.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. All right, and then so now you're asking me who I vote for, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner Hurst,
Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner Pinckney,
Commissioner Williams,
Commissioner Sani,
Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Williams.
Count a vote of 5 for Anderson and 2 for Williams. And so Commissioner Anderson is elected as our chair. Congratulations.
I contest this.
Sorry?
I contest it.
Okay. Well, if you want to appeal,
By all means.
well, I don't know, you have to give a ground, I guess.
The grounds, listening to what he just said, that the communication as far as the commissioners, I've been left out on a lot. So I don't agree with that total communication amongst all the ANC commissioners. And I also feel left out as far as my word or my vote towards anything in this commission. That's all I have to say.
By my read, we had an open vote. People were able to vote. The vote was 5-2, so I will rule against your appeal.
I knew you would.
All right. Commissioner Anderson is elected. Congratulations. We'll move on to vice chair, and we'll open up for nominations.
Nominate Commissioner Galvan.
Commissioner Galvan, do you accept?
No.
Commissioner Galvan does not accept.
I nominate.
Sure.
Are there further nominations? Hear a motion to close nominations? Nominations? Actually, we do need to do the vote. I'm sorry. Anderson.
I vote for Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman. I will vote for Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Galvan.
Williams.
Hurst. Commissioner Payne.
Commissioner Williams,
Commissioner Sani.
Commissioner Williams.
Commissioner,
Wow.
you gotta say your name though.
Commissioner.
I think it is 7 Williams. Congrats.
Thank you.
Next item is election of um, open nominations. I will nominate myself. Are there further nominations? Moved by Commissioner Williams. Is there anything none? Nominations give a statement from the vice chair candidates. I don't know if you want to give a statement.
Yeah, a couple life events coming up. I'll do my.
All right, we will proceed to a vote. Commissioner, Commissioner Galvin. Commissioner Galvin.
Galvin.
Commissioner Pinckney.
Galvin.
Commissioner Williams. You are re-elected as secretary. Congratulations. We're now proceeding to treasurer, and I will open nominations for treasurer.
Anybody can have the
I nominate
willing to
Commissioner Hurst.
Commissioner Galvin is on. Commissioner Hurst. Do you accept?
I'll stay.
For seeing none, is there a motion to close nominations? Mr. Galvin. Move to close nominations. Is there any nominations are closed? Is there anything you'd like to say before we
Minutes. No, it's perfect. Yeah.
vote on treasurer? Commissioner Anderson.
Commissioner Hurst.
Commissioner Biden, I vote for Commissioner Hurst. Commissioner Galvin.
Vote for myself too.
Commissioner Pinckney
Commissioner Hurst.
and Commissioner Williams as treasurer. Congratulations. All right. A week ago, I distributed to include on the agenda. There is 114 but for seeing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion to approve the agenda. Approved. Excuse me. Second objection. The agenda is approved. Item is referral, please. Well, let me open it up. I think there may be some items to refer to committees. I think Commissioner Sani and I had to the issue of snow removal and snow pre-treatment on the MBT. Ask the transportation to develop. Any items the commissioners may have that they want us to committees. Next item is approval of the minutes.
I distributed the copy on, I think it was about December 25th, shortly thereafter. I just meeting minutes as drafted. Is there any change?
Approve the minutes. Right. Go on me. This law. And I'm pleased that our in Eckington are rapidly becoming the models to be livable places that I do want to thank everybody for your trust in letting us and keeping a good reputation. Go. Helping get the uh, get the commission started, and thank you all for all of your help with all of that. And I'll just wrap up with an apology to the Edgewood Council meeting tonight. Uh, just was not able to work out at the space over there, so I do apologize for that. And I think that sounds like we're doing Monday. It's going to be able to work out for Edgewood Rec for the remainder of the half year that I think we plan on being there. That's all I have. Any questions? All right, seeing none.
Keep things moving.
All right, Treasurer, Commissioner.
We still
Appreciative of that. And what may be one of the tightest budgets pitted against priorities. There's in the Wilson building. I run into a lot of them at the meeting, and I was just at a meeting with DDOT the other day. Commissioner Sani was there, and we got a lot of good intel on down that's in the works from DDOT.
In January, due to not having a business, we currently do not have.
I may fix that. I think I have something I may refer. The engagement.
Oh, it just dropped?
Yeah, it's coming back. Put on there just to get off.
Go ahead.
Okay, great. Just working closely with Jackie, who's one of our members of safety and health committee. And working through next steps around the double parking issue. In that area. So we have some letters that are up in consortium. We're still checking out those next. Commission. We can collectively do as an ANC that heavily influence public safety and health. So for anybody that's on that call that really wants public safety to be front of mind, join the committee. We could use your voice. We could use all of the movement within public safety. And as I always do with my updates, I provide a resource to the community. So a resource that I found through Councilmember Parker's big email that he sends out weekly is that anti-theft devices for Kia and Hyundai key starter vehicles are still available at police districts across the city. So you can get your own if you have a Kia or Hyundai, that's Key Start. If you go to the 5th District station, so that's at 1805 Bladensburg Road Northeast to pick up one. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Mr. Aaron Price? Could you remind us when the next meeting is?
Yes, next meeting will be on Thursday, February 22nd, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That'll be in the Eckington Community Room, and there's also a virtual option as well.
Other questions, Mr. Aaron Price? Seeing none, thank you. Next, we have Transportation and Public Space, Commissioner Sani.
Yes. The TAPS committee met in January. We discussed many things, but we spent a lot of our time focusing on the 2 resolutions that we have submitted up to ANC 5F for vote tonight around improving wayfinding in Edgewood and Eckington, as well as resolution for fixing up the paint and existing protection on places that have undergone construction and not been properly kind of reconstituted by the city. Examples would be the 4th Street Northeast cycle track that from Franklin to Harewood. They repaved the road, but didn't restore all the concrete that was originally there to protect it from traffic. Additionally, further down, like towards the DC Water project, there are pieces of paint missing in places where it's either confusing or could be better marked. And so it's a comprehensive kind of resolution for that full stretch of 4th Street to the issue. Additionally, we had discussions around future places for consideration. We're gonna have some folks coming over to present or talk to concerns they have about lack of east-west cycle protection next month, and the month after we're going to be we're still trying to figure out ways to kind of better engage the community, as well as like bring in the commission. The committee can be better empowered to give resolution that is and be an effective committee. So yeah, that is it for DEPS.
Thank you, Commissioner Sani. Could you remind everybody then when the next meeting is?
Yes, meeting is we meet the 2nd Tuesday of the month at 7:30.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Sani? Commissioner Williams.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. I forgot how to do showcase. Oh, you was talking about 4th Street.
Mhm.
You want protective lanes on 4th Street?
No, so the existing protected lane, that's north of Franklin all the way up to like Harewood in Michigan.
Okay.
That's already a protection, but some of the concrete dividers in the ground are not there anymore. It's like, and it's that way. And so we wanted to let DDOT know, either restore what you took away or say this was intentional, but like,
Okay. But I know they took it away from the garbage.
Yeah.
Couldn't
Yeah.
get in there.
yeah, this is further south. So I'm not interfering by entrance or egress.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Commissioner Singh. Zoning Committee, Mr. Stone messaged me, he's having activity issues, I don't know whether he can get on, but he did me to pass along that the next meeting, Wednesday, January 31st at 7 p.m. here and hybrid.
I'm sorry, what was that date?
Wednesday, January 31st, 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
Task Force on Outreach, Commissioner Sani.
Nothing to report. We submitted the reimbursement for the domain name.
Thank you. Library Task Force, any update from anyone?
No response from PCPL. That's the update.
That concludes committee and task force updates. Next item is presentations relating to agenda items, and I don't believe we had any, so that will conclude that. And the next item is the consent agenda. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 items of submitted business, and any commissioner can remove any of these from the consent agenda. So why don't I pause for a moment so everybody can look through everything and pull anything off the agenda that they may want to.
I'd like to pull off F and G.
Others?
I'm just thinking about the 4th Street Northeast with the comment that we got today, just like adding something to that, but I don't know.
This is something that pertains.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
It's loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, people are still flipping, but.
Okay, we can pull off the schedule to change President's Day.
I think if the DC buttons closed, we may have trouble getting people in. So
Yeah.
think about-
Okay. Can I pull B, please?
Others?
I think the ones that I wanted to discuss have already been pulled. I think the ones I want to discuss have already pulled.
On the consent agenda, it looks like our A, resolution on alcohol licensing committee changes to include cannabis licensing. C, resolution to join the ANC Security Fund. D, resolution requesting wayfinding improvements in Edgewood and Eckington. E, resolution requesting marking and protection improvements along 4th Street Northeast. H, resolution on mental health support in the District of Columbia. I, resolution on fair evasion in the District of Columbia. Any of those anybody wishes to pull? All right, I will move that we adopt en masse those 6 items of business with unanimous consent. Is there a second?
A second.
Seconded by Commissioner Galvan, and we'll proceed to a vote on the consent agenda. Commissioner Anderson.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman. I vote aye. Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Pinckney.
I vote aye. Question. Or can I do that?
What's your question?
It's, okay, in the form for each and every resolution, it says, be it further resolved that this resolution will take effect immediately upon passage, our passage.
I think that's what that means, and it's, sorry, to answer your question, I think that's what that means. I'll leave it to the authors to say that. I think it's also redundant because under our bylaws, by default, everything we adopt takes effect immediately. There's a provision we added a couple of weeks ago, unless stated otherwise. So I think it's referencing ANC 5F action, not anybody else's action.
Okay, because to me, a person who is not an ANC, who is not familiar with this, would think that whatever you're saying in this resolution takes effect immediately after we pass it. And it really doesn't, because it goes to other people that would change this, not us.
Like you're talking about some of the criminal justice
Agencies.
recommendations or?
Agencies will change these things, not us.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So it's not clear, I'm saying, to someone who is not part of an ANC.
In ones I sponsor, I don't have that paragraph. But yes, that is noted. Thank you.
Other than
Sorry,
that-
we're in the middle of a vote.
Yeah, whatever.
Commissioner Sani,
Yay.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
By a vote of 7-0, those items are adopted. We'll now proceed to the non-consent agenda, starting with item B. That's the resolution to adopt the 2024 meeting calendar. Mine, so I shouldn't preside over it. It sounds like you have an amendment, so you shouldn't preside over it. Commissioner Galvin, would you like to preside over it?
Sure, let's give it a shot. So we'll start by having Commissioner Bishop Henchman discuss the resolution to adopt a 2024 meeting calendar.
All right. Nobody can make a date. This was a fun one to find. You know, we obviously don't want to. We want to avoid Saturday. Or maybe we don't. I don't know. It sounds like people could make Saturday and Sunday. That's not what we want. With third. Every commissioner, so I emailed everybody and I said, "What days can you not make?" And got back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not left. And then civic Mondays on which one is which, but it's not the third Monday, so we're avoiding both of those.
Edgewood is the fourth Monday.
So the Eckington must be the second. So I think that was the sweet spot. And I put in the dates here. I think Commissioner Anderson realized one of them is a holiday, so she wants to change it. And then also in the resolution is trying to put in words the kind of tacit agreement that we have that we want to do half the meetings in Edgewood and half the meetings in Eckington. So this will have some legal basis. With that, I'll turn it back over to Commissioner Galvin.
Thank you so much. Were there any amendments to this particular resolution?
I would like to
Commissioner
propose,
Anderson?
oh, sorry. I'd like to propose an amendment to the February 19th date that is noted. That is President's Day, which is a holiday. So I'm open to discussing with commissioners what date would work best, whether doing the Tuesday, so doing the 20th, or the following. Well, I guess the issue is that fourth Monday would conflict. So if everyone can make just for that February, the 20th of February. So that would be the third Tuesday of the month. Or if there's an alternate date that works.
Okay, so Commissioner Anderson, you're proposing to change the January 19th President's Day. February 19th to be Tuesday, February 20th.
Yes, to throw that out there initially.
Okay. Do we have a second? Or any comments? Second?
No.
Sorry, I thought I heard it.
I just.
I said second.
Commissioner Williams?
I just said second.
Are there any objections? Okay, would like to take that for a roll call vote.
If it's an amendment.
If it's an
just
amendment,
no objection.
okay. Thank you. With that being said, the resolution to adopt 2024 meeting calendar has been amended to move the second meeting to Tuesday, February 20th. That being said, or are there any other amendments to the calendar?
Okay, here.
If not, would anyone like to move it forward? I can wait. It sounds like there's some discussion.
No, we're just.
I move to.
Second.
This is-
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Sani to move.
Can I
The
ask a
resolution.
question real quick?
Yes, Commissioner.
Is the time in here? Because I didn't see the time.
It's not. That is,
Okay, so what are we doing on the time?
we could add time if you want to add time.
That's what we're gonna have to do, because it doesn't make sense to change the date and not say exactly what the time is.
So funny you should ask that. So part of the issue we've had with Edgewood Rec is they close at, someone remind me, 9?
No.
9,
and
but they kick us out at 8:30.
So I did also ask in that email to everybody about days. I asked about times, about what would people think about a 6:30 start, and no one responded to that point. So I didn't want to put it in here, but we're all here, so I guess we can talk about it.
Or if nobody actually responded to the time, keep it as it is, 7 o'clock. Third Monday, 7 o'clock.
Just change February to the 20th.
Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah,
February
yeah.
20th, but yeah. Okay. Are there any additional amendments? Did I hear an amendment to change that resolution so that it includes 7 p.m. as the start
I
time?
think that's what she was.
That's what I was
Okay.
trying to do.
Okay.
Second.
There was a second by Commissioner Hurst. Sorry, I'm trying to do both. This is a little harder than I thought it was. All right. Are there any objections? No objections. It's been amended. Do I have any amendments? All right, hearing none. Does anyone move? I think Commissioner Sani moved previously, second by Commissioner Bishop Henson. We'll go for a roll call vote. Starting first, Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvan. Aye. Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Bishop Henchman.
Aye.
Commissioner.
Aye.
Thank you. The resolution has passed 7-0. Thank you. I turn back over to the chair, Commissioner Anderson.
Not yet.
Oh, not yet?
Not the business.
Okay. I thought it was effective. Sorry. Okay.
No, just the resolution.
Okay.
My little humor there. Thank you, Commissioner Galvan. Let's see. Next item is F, resolution on carjackings and traffic safety improvements for the District of Columbia, Commissioner Galvan.
All right.
And Commissioner Hurst, co-sponsor.
I'm going to take a couple quick minutes here. First of all, I want to thank the many different people who engaged and provided feedback on these two resolutions. They are significant in scope and also limited in scope. There's a lot more that can be said on these particular issues. I want to thank Commissioner Sani, Joe Bishop Henchman, Commissioner Hurst for co-sponsoring, and the entire Public Safety and Health Committee, including Chair Daniel Aaron Price, Jaira Aki, Lucas Sabowski. Some additional input by Edgewood Civic Association President Michael Clark and Eckington Civic Association President Jason Gearson. So I did my best to include as many people as I could. Obviously, not everyone was included in this, and there were many iterations that went back and forth. These are not perfect, and they're not comprehensive in scope. And I won't claim to be an expert in any one of these given fields. I've felt like I needed to do something about what's happening in our community. And this process has been iterative to try to get as much information and do as much research about what is publicly, what is happening in our community, and to get as much input as possible. I know the subject of public safety is very vast and it's complex. And part of the reason I pulled it off the consent agenda is because I feel like we need to have further conversation, both as commissioners and as the community who's on this call right now. You know, as some other commissioners have noted, this has been a top concern among residents, and our neighborhood has been affected by these types of challenges. From Washington Post analysis in 2023, more people in the nation's capital were killed than any year since 1997. 19 of those people were kids. 16 of those children were killed by gunfire. More than 100 children were shot. More than 274 homicides occurred in DC, which is a 35% increase in 2022. The main, and I know in my SMD alone, I've had 4 people that were shot and killed in the last year and a half. And even more have occurred in a quarter-mile radius of 4th and Rhode Island Avenue Northeast. And I know this, I've had many residents come to me and tell me that they're afraid to go walk out at night, that they are concerned about even going during the daytime, and that they run to their cars, and that they are nervous about doing their day-to-day, which in my mind is crazy. And I also know that there are a lot of vulnerable people that are affected. And I feel the frustration, the anger, the helplessness from these people. And the more I read about this, the more it's not just about how people feel about it, but how why those kids and those young people are acting in this way, and how do we help and support them as well. And so I'm not going to read this. I know this is many pages long. I probably spent about 25 or 30 hours myself doing research on this. It's probably got to combine 50 hours of evaluation from other people, and I greatly appreciate all that. And it's very interconnected. The public safety and public health is kind of all together. So I want to get thoughts, perspectives. I'm open to changing these. If there is stuff that just doesn't seem right, let's take it off. I'm bringing it in front of everyone right now because I feel like we're at a precipice of where we are in a community, and there are several public safety bills. Just learned this afternoon that the Secure DC bill, which is like a 93-page bill, passed committee. And the reason why it's so important, I want these to go forward, is because we have the most power to address these changes right now. And they're not perfect, and this is not the be all end all, but the idea is that these will start a conversation that will ask council members and government agencies to consider this in the mayor's office, to consider these types of issues and some of the solutions that are as much based in evidence-based research. But I will admit that not all of this is that. Some of this is my own experience and my own guesses on how to solve these things. So anyway, I know I've talked for a little bit longer than I should, but I really hope you'll consider amending certain portions of this and considering this as a starting point as a community. That's all I'll say. And that's really about both of those resolutions.
Thank you, Commissioner Gilman. Questions, comments, amendments?
So we're discussing
Commissioner
we're discussing the resolution on carjackings and traffic safety improvements.
Yes.
Yes.
Resolution right now. So on the fourth page, there's a therefore clause about 4 down that cites pieces of legislation, 6 of them or 5 of them.
Yes.
Active Act now. Could you provide a going through high level what each one of these is? I think some of them are very self-evident, like traffic enforcement education, yeah, but like others are less self-explanatory, such as active or act now.
Yes, I can talk through as much as I can through these. So I'll start at the bottom, which is the strengthening traffic enforcement education responsibility amendment act. This is actually passed the council on the first go through, and a lot of this is really associated with including additional accountability measures for vehicles that have egregiously gone past the law and violated. Allows the Office of the Attorney General to go through and hold out-of-state licenses or out-of-state vehicles accountable for their actions. It also allows, hold on, I'm sorry, I have to get my additional reference. There's a lot in here.
If I may, like,
yes,
specifically, and other commissioners, please override me if you want to hear about each individual one. I was specifically wondering about active and act now, and heard about the other 3.
And if I could just jump in.
yes, please.
It is my understanding, and I'm happy to be corrected on this if I'm wrong. I certainly haven't followed what legislative actions happened today, because I think they discussed some of this today in council, is that those first 3 pieces of it, large pieces of it, have been wrapped into the Secure DC bill, and now those bills are kind of, I don't want to say dead, but they're not moving. Now what's moving is Secure DC. Safe Commercial Corridor is still alive, Strengthened Steer is still alive, but I think those first 3, it's now Secure DC, which is Councilmember Pinto's kind of omnibus. That's my understanding.
Yes.
There's a lot of other people here that are following it, so please correct me if I'm wrong on that. But do you know, Daniel?
What you said is correct.
Okay.
So they
Yeah, sir.
pretty much combined those 3 into one. So it seems a little bit out of date, but a lot of what is written inside of there is placed into this greater piece of legislation. With a few exceptions, they did take out some of the ones that were a little bit more controversial with the community ultimately. So,
this may be where Commissioner Sani is going, is there's some stuff in these bills that maybe we don't want to endorse that is not in the Secure DC bill. I don't know what your opinion is.
Got it.
Stop and frisk, but I think that's in one of these, but it's not.
Yes, yeah, that is in the act now.
Yeah.
And so again, this is a conversation, if the active and the act as they were originally drafted are not amenable. I personally am open, to removing those and adding the new Secure DC as an example. I know that even that executive summary is 2.5 pages long on what that is. I'd even be open to removing some of those and not adding that and having just this information that we have here posted. So I know this is a lot and so I want to be open-minded to whatever those types of suggestions.
So, yeah, to,
Commissioner Sunny.
yeah, so to that point, I think keeping these narrowly focused and kind of supporting the argument is what I'd want our commission's output to be. So in this case, we're scoping it to traffic safety and potentially improvements for carjackings. I would say, and I know that there's the other one following for gun violence that maybe more speaks to security. I would say maybe even just strike the three. City council resolutions that are that maybe on the ones that are specifically road and traffic. Because I move that we amend by striking those top three.
Commissioner Sani has moved to strike the references to active, act now, and improving safety and emergency response on corridors act. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there anybody wish to debate this amendment? There.
Just a clarification, I know we
Yeah.
just voted on this, so the amendment is to strike it, but not replace the security. So it's, so read first, is it delete clause or is it just three?
As I understand his own, it will leave safe commercial corridors and steer.
Okay, just wanted to.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Understanding, Commissioner, question. Further, any objection? Back to the full resolution. Did you have anything further, Commissioner Sun?
I've got a question if he's finished.
Please, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Commissioner Payne.
how much of what's in this resolution is in Councilmember Pinto's bill?
So I can talk to let me talk to specific, now you're talking specifically about the carjackings and traffic
What do
safety.
you want? Yeah.
So I'll start in the be it, therefore be it resolved, which just starts at the bottom of page 3. So what is existing, I'm going through them right now. There is people's work that I do not want to take credit for. That's plagiarism. So I just wanted, that's part of the reason why it has gone long. The reason I know I've mentioned this already is that a lot of this is it's important right now. So if we wait another month, we may have missed the boat. As I understand it, the council is moving forward towards passing, or there's a momentum right now towards solving public safety.
Twitter does not, always day, but a and there's time out of it. That's my understanding.
Okay.
Comments, questions?
Okay, I'd like to move it to a vote. As amended.
Commissioner Alvan moves to end debate and proceed to a vote. I was seeing if there were any further, because that'll happen automatically if no one has anything else to say. So let me just make sure no one has anything else they want to add on this.
Let me ask one more question.
Yes.
So with this resolution or these two resolutions, we're telling Edgewood and Eckington that we're going to keep you safe.
Commissioner Govan.
So we are providing, we are saying to our residents that instead of standing as a bystander in what is happening, that we are offering solutions and offering suggestions that many are based in research. I mean, a big part of my frustration in starting to write these was that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are so many other cities and states and municipalities who have done these things previously and addressed these and been successful. And again, that's not every single whereas or every single therefore be it resolved, but I think they are at least starting something. And we're telling our residents and neighbors that we've done something to encourage and to tell the council and the mayor's office that this is what we stand for. And the current, this current status quo is not acceptable. And here are some solutions. Here are some suggestions. These are the problems that we are having. And we want something to be done.
To keep the community safe.
To keep the community safe. Yes.
I have maybe a related question.
Yes.
On some of the resolve clauses, we're very clear that we're asking MPD or the mayor's office or the council to react to us. But on some of the other ones, it's not spelled out exactly who we're asking.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, I'll just take one at random. Request additional signage along the MBT. That would be DDOT.
Yep.
So I know this is, I circulated this 10 days ago, and maybe I should have told you before right now, but maybe it should say, be a further resolve ANC request that DDOT additional signage, and maybe that, I don't want to put words in Commissioner Pinckney's mouth, be some of the word is, are we saying we are doing these things, or are we saying we're asking these agencies to do those things?
Yeah.
So that's an additional observation is, following Commissioner Sani's amendment, we now are not, at least as it stands right now, my understanding is not endorsing the secure DC bill, which is the time sensitive bill that they're working on. So to me, either we need to do this fast because we want to endorse the secure DC bill, or if we're not endorsing that bill, maybe we don't need to do it so fast. So I guess that's more of a question for you.
Yeah. So let me go to the first point, and it's a valid point that it doesn't say specific agencies.
And this is not just me being a wordsmith. It's agencies by law have to respond to ANC resolutions.
Yeah.
And the clearer that we can make that, like, we are asking DDOT to respond to this and so forth, I think the better it is for everybody. I think they appreciate clarity, and we certainly do too. I'm sorry, Mr. Geller.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if this is passed by the commission, you know, it would be my responsibility to make sure that it is communicated to the appropriate agency, and that I certainly have done this before where I've communicated something out and the agency says, well, that's not in my purview. And I'm sure that they will say that with, you know, specific items, but where it is appropriate, I think I can make that clarification to them. With respect to your other comment about secure DC, I think when we were talking about removing it from the traffic violence and carjackings, that was that specific resolution. The second resolution, maybe we can talk about whether or not that is removed or added to that particular one. Regardless, I think that the items that we've discussed in this first resolutions in carjackings and traffic violence can still be included as part of the record, as part of testimony, as part of influence for the secure DC bill that is currently under consideration by the council.
Further questions, comments, amendments, motions?
So we are,
Commissioner.
sorry, the question. So we are recommending in the resolution for gun violence improvements for the District of Columbia that the DC Council.
We're not on that one yet.
Okay.
But I mean, just we're on carjackings. But yeah.
Okay, but we are in that one saying that we are endorsing the Secure DC Omnibus Amendment Act.
Correct. Yeah.
Which I do want to do. I would like to endorse that idea. I don't know whether others agree, but that would be something that I would feel strongly in favor of.
Got it. Understood.
Other commissioners? Last call. All right, seeing no further, did you have Commissioner Pinckney?
I'm gonna back you up. In the different items, I think that you need to say exactly which agency will take care of these things, because if it's not in this, they can come back and say, well, our agency wasn't mentioned there. And a lot of them don't have that.
Okay, let's go, if you don't mind, let's go through it briefly in the therefore be it resolved section. And we can change that.
Your outgoing chair is not a fan of wordsmithing in front of everybody, so
Me either.
I'm wondering if we could move on to something else while you do that, and then we can come back to it. Unless you think you can
Okay.
get it done in like 30 seconds.
Probably
not. Yeah.
I would say the next thing we probably discuss also involves him. And so I don't know if you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well,
I mean, how about this? How about this? Can we?
You know what? We've got Mr. Black here from Mocha. Maybe we can move to his report and then come back to this.
Sure, I was going to offer something else.
Yeah.
If I can.
Sure, Mr. Gallon.
What I can do is go through each of these and make those respective changes when I send it out to specifically highlight who they are associated with.
It sounds like Commissioner Pinckney is wanting that we do it before we pass it.
Before we pass it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yes, then I'm
Okay.
fine.
I move that we suspend the rules to move to the report from the Mayor's Office of Community Relations. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection? Without objection, Mr. Black, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, ANC 5F. My name is Anthony Black. It's truly a pleasure. Let me just say Happy New Year. This is the first meeting that we've attended in the new year, so I just want to make that clear. No major updates from the mayor's office. The Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program, applications is open. So if you have any youngsters from 14 to 24, please, feel free to get them signed up for employment throughout the summer. Once again, our award days are Tuesdays and Fridays, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Those are just days in which we get into the wards to put our eyes on issues, concerns, whatever the case may be. So please feel free. I can drop my information in the chat, or if Commissioner Anderson, can you drop it in the chat for me? Please feel free to reach out so that we can address those issues and concerns. That's it on my end. I'm open for questions and concerns.
All right, we'll start with questions from commissioners and then we'll move to members of the public. If you have a question for Mr. Black, use the raise hand feature online and then we'll call on you, but we'll start with commissioners, Commissioner Hurst and Commissioner Sonny. Commissioner Hurst.
Can you give me an update on, from the mayor's perspective, what has been happening with the union school negotiation with DC Public Schools? Because I know we're being told as a union member, but it could be something more is happening or that there's something I don't see. I'd like to know what the mayor's perspective is.
So for my end, I can definitely look into that, Commissioner, but we haven't been privy to that information and to those details. But I can definitely reach out to leadership tomorrow. So if you want to just give me a call around 1 o'clock, that'll be perfect.
Okay, I can tell you that the union is telling us that they're not sending high-ranking officials to the negotiation and that there's not a lot of operating in forward momentum or good faith right now. So I don't know whether that's true because I'm not there myself, but.
Well, I can definitely, again, I can leadership store and just try to get some clarification.
Okay.
As to where they are and what's the next steps. But again, you can just give me a call tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll definitely be in the office at 10. So.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sonny.
So obviously, I know our Transportation Public Spaces Committee will be taking this on next month, but the snow clearing and ice clearing and snow preparation efforts in Edgewood and from what I gather, Eckington as well, were, in our opinion, kind of subpar. Specifically, there was no pre-treatment on the Metropolitan Branch Trail, as well as the bridge to the metro station, which the city owns. As well as just general snow clearing efforts around that. And I understand their priorities, but it seems like, based on the fact that I had to be emailing Deputy Director Crispino and DDOT CEO Ganta, like there's someone dropped the ball. And I want to know, like, where do these important resources for Edgewood and Eckington residents stand in the city's priority list? And I know DPW, DDOT, they're their own agencies, they have their own representatives, but they're all under the mayor still.
So I know for a fact there's a leadership meeting amongst these agencies regarding specifically the bridges and public space. You have, and the crazy thing is you have agencies saying, no, that's not us. You have some saying that's somebody else's. And that's exactly what transpired. But I do know that in real time, leadership was taking action as far as, because we were reporting out in real time. And as soon as I confirmed that it was public space, leadership made sure they jumped in to address the issue. Now, I do know that they have planned to schedule meetings surrounding this. I don't know. I know it'll definitely be next week sometime. I don't have the date as of yet, but you can definitely reach out and we can try to get some answers as to what transpired in that meeting and what was the resolution.
And I also thank you for your support. I saw your reply on the email. I'm sure.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It was definitely a team effort just trying to make sure it got done. But again, when you have agencies, it's not us, it's WMATA. That was the issue that Commissioner Henchman and I had. But once we were able to identify that, then it's going to take care of it. So, no, I know they're definitely, and it's going to be a thing. We get more snow. that's definitely gonna happen. So I know they're definitely talking about it, but in real time, they were aware. They did what they could to address it as soon as possible.
Thank you.
I'll go next, just to piggyback on that one. I know every neighborhood and every commissioner wants like their street to be first and all of that on snow removal. I just want to emphasize that's not what this is about. I mean, it'd be nice to be first, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but it was mainly that it wasn't happening at all. There was
Absolutely.
no pre-treatment at all, and then there was no removal at all. Even like, I think it was 2 or 3 days afterwards, there was still no removal over this jurisdictional confusion. And yeah, I mean, it's good meetings are happening, and we just want to make sure that we're in the pre-treatment plan for next time, that we're in the removal plan for next time, and that we don't have to go through the, WMATA, DPW, DDOT, who does it and who doesn't. I did want to especially call out Friends of Metropolitan Branch Trail, who got out there with shovels hacking at the ice themselves. It's really not something I don't think we want community members doing, but we're very appreciative that they did it. 5,000 people a day use the MBT, so that effort on their part made it a lot safer. I also want to thank Bozzuto and MRP that both kind of maybe did a little bit more than they were legally supposed to, but I think that was good because it filled in some gaps there, and it would be awesome if they could be included in the discussions and maybe some kind of memorandum of understanding involving all of these parties to make sure that, we all gotta work together on this. And again, thank you for your responsiveness and for getting it done. And I do want to emphasize that again, eventually it got done, and it was in large part thanks to your work.
And honestly, based off of the conversations that we did have, everybody was resting from a snow standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been the first snowstorm with a new director at DPW since it started. And he admitted to, some rest and getting a better understanding of the city and how it operates. But I feel like moving forward, there should be some things in place to address those concerns.
Other commissioners?
I can't wait. Every time it snows, we've been through the same thing. Everybody passing the buck to the next one. Trust me, it's not the first. Can't wait for them to get together.
And that's, I mean, these meetings have to happen.
They have
They have to. And leadership definitely understood that, especially, like you said, 2-3 days and then still a block of ice out there. It's a problem.
Were there any hands online for the mayor's office?
I think we should probably ask folks. Yeah.
Okay, if anybody has any questions for the mayor's office, use the raise hand feature. Anyone in the room have a question for the mayor's office?
Keith?
What was the name, sorry?
Gyra.
Gyra? We could unmute them.
Hi,
ahead.
good evening. My name is Gyra. I'm an Eckington resident. One thing that I would like to address, which I know has been raised at other ANC meetings, is the current construction project at Dave Thomas Circle and how it seems to be very ineffective with how they are conducting construction as far as allowing commuter traffic to navigate around the construction. Particularly, I have experience with commuting through that construction site every single day to go to work. And there are no posted personnel to kind of direct or traffic. And you still get people that are on Florida making their right-hand turn onto First to get to New York Avenue, constantly blocking the traffic for people that are leaving the Eckington Place, leaving from Eckington. And I think that it's very advantageous for the mayor's office to consider how this construction is being conducted, especially since predominantly where they're doing construction right now, where Wendy's used to be located, they have quite some distance from any residents that are in the area. And it may be advantageous to try to move some of the construction to night operations to allow better flow of traffic along New York, Florida, and Eckington, during the day when people are commuting to and from work. That's just an option that I would like to put out there for the mayor's office to try to consider. One other thing to keep in mind is that there has been frequent construction as well while leaving Eckington on our street, as well as the continuous water project on Rhode Island. So there are really no great ways to exit our neighborhood when commuting to and from work. And it would behoove the mayor's office to consider that impact to residents that actually have to commute outside of the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Other, okay.
So I just want to be clear. Are you saying that there isn't any anyone directing the traffic at that particular intersection?
Yes, sir. That is correct. So you can see that there are construction personnel that are standing around, probably doing something with regards to their construction duties. But at most construction sites that we've seen where you are blocking specific streets or pathways, you usually have some sort of posted guard that is telling you to slow down or to stop or directing traffic or at least assisting cars to be able to get through and create a better workflow of the traffic. In this instance, no one is being posted out, and residents or commuters that are coming into the city are continuing to block the box. And so people from Eckington aren't able to make their actual turns to get out to New York Avenue to get towards 395 tunnel. If that makes sense.
No, I was just trying to get some clarity. So what I can definitely reach out to the development who's handling that to find out if they have any certified flaggers for that particular area, and I can also address it with DEMPED as well, because they normally handle the development. So I will reach out to our liaison for DEMPED just to see if he can do some type of follow up to see if the traffic flow can get much better.
This is Dave Thomas Circle. That'd be, make sure DDOT also, because I think that's a DDOT project.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Other questions from the public?
I don't see
I'd
hands
just
up.
like to comment on
Oh, yes.
construction at night is horrible. The people that live around Dave Thomas Circle, all the apartment buildings on Eckington Place and further over, they will hear that construction. And they will be calling their ANCs asking who gave this particular developer permission to do this work at night. We can't sleep. You can't sleep through construction work.
I don't think DDOT's asked us for permission. So, yeah.
Once in a while they do,
Yeah, once in a
not,
while.
not on a regular basis at night.
And I do have a question I want to raise with DDOT in oversight hearings over approval of transportation plans for projects, because currently that doesn't go to ANCs. Maybe it ought to. So if that's of interest, maybe we can work together on that. No more questions from community. Any questions from the audience? All right. Any parting words? I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Any parting words?
No, I'm fine.
All right. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Order of business is that we're back where we started, back where we left it, back with Commissioner Galvan. Do you have an amendment?
I'm ready. Yes, I do have an amendment.
Commissioner Galvan has an amendment. I imagine it's a long one.
Yes, and I've captured it here, so I'm not gonna write it at the time. On the bottom of page 3, I'm gonna go through each of the therefore be it resolves. I think I've identified the particular agency that's with respect to it. The first one, AOC endorses the STEER Act, but requests the DC Council and 311. So it's specifically the two agencies. So it'd really be the Office of Unified Communication.
Yeah. So DC Council and OUC. All right.
Yep, that's
Sorry, let me keep it up as we go along.
Go
So
ahead.
Commissioner Galvin moves the following amendments. First resolve clause to add DC Council and OUC. All right,
Yep.
keep going.
The second one, the second paragraph, therefore be it resolved, endorses education of traffic laws by DDOT and MPD.
Is it requests DDOT and MPD educate?
Yes,
Or, okay.
yes.
Educate on traffic laws to both residents.
Yep.
All right.
The third one, therefore be it resolved, ANC 5F requests DDOT and DDOE. Well, really, it endorses allowing for residents to submit videos to DDOT and DDOE.
So it's requesting DDOT and DDOE to accept submissions
yes, to
of
accept
videos.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't want people sending us their videos. We can't do anything with them.
The next one at the top of the page is requests, ANC 5F requests MPD. That's an easy one.
Provide improved.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. The next one is therefore be resolved, ANC 5 requests DDOT install.
I have a fun story about the signage office, which I'll share after the meeting if anybody.
The next one is therefore be resolved, ANC 5F request DMV, MPD, and DPW enforcement. And this is the weird one where you don't know which of the agencies, probably all three to some extent, do some of the actual enforcement.
And on their 25cc, is that a type of scooter?
It is.
Okay.
It's the size of the. And then all the others actually have specifics. So I'm going to move down to the last, the fifth last, therefore be it resolved, endorses the DC Council to allow MPD safe pursuit.
I'm sorry, wait a second.
Okay, so
Therefore be it
yeah,
resolved,
you jumped here.
endorse the DC Council to allow safe pursuit.
All right, so you had no changes to the legislative one that we amended.
Correct.
And then DC Council, MPD, and then now that's the one.
And then, yeah, the second to last one at the bottom, which is that ANC request DDOT install an AT speed camera. It's specifically DDOT. And then on the last page, on page 5, the fourth to last be it resolved is that ANC 5F endorses MPD work. Or I guess.
Sorry, which result clause was this?
The fourth to last.
This is
High visibility
traffic
traffic
safety.
safety compliance
all right.
checkpoints. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, what was your amendment?
After endorses, I guess it's going to be changed to request MPD perform high visibility. That's it.
I'm not going to reread those amendments unless somebody really asks, but those are Commissioner Galvan's amendments en masse. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Hurst. Is there any objection to the amendments or debate or discussion or a wish to divide any of those amendments? Seeing none, the amendments are adopted. All right, so we're back to the main resolution as amended. Further debate or amendments? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. I will call the roll. People seem to like going numerically rather than alphabetically, so I will do that. which means we start with Commissioner Hurst.
Oh, okay, aye.
Mr. Hurst votes aye. Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Mr. Sani votes aye. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Mr. Williams votes aye. Commissioner Galvin.
Aye.
Mr. Galvin votes aye. Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Mr. Anderson votes aye. Commissioner Bishop Henchman, aye. Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Mr. Pinckney votes aye. By a vote of 7-0, the resolution as amended is adopted.
Thank you for your support.
Next resolution on gun violence improvements for the District of Columbia, Commissioner Galvin and Commissioner Hurst.
Thank you all. Based on that feedback, fortunately,
Agree with an amendment, I'm guessing.
yes, we're gonna be, well, I don't know. I'd like to recognize Chair Aaron Price, if that's okay. He's been helping me with
Without objection.
with those adjustments.
Thank you. So I hope I got some of these correct in making these amendments altogether, and I don't think I could make a motion, so I'll just leave this up in the air, but.
The chair moves that we consider the motion as stated by Mr. Aaron Price.
Wonderful. So when we go to the therefore be it resolved sections, and we can start on page 4 for the gun violence resolution. The first 4 therefores is specific to positioning for ANC 5F. So therefore there's no actions on behalf of any departments or administrations. So when you head to the 5th one, be it further resolved, ANC 5F needs city officials specifically from the mayor's office, DC Council, ONS, DBH, and DPW in a coordinated effort to provide immediate assistance to, and then continuing on with that.
So I'm sorry, Mayor, DC Council.
So, Mayor, DC Council, ONS, DBH.
ON.
ONC.
Is that what you say? Aunts? Okay. All right.
So I
And then, sorry, what was that 4th one? Is
Sorry.
that aunts, Mr. Black? ONSC? You have a.
Basically.
Okay. All
We'll
right.
take it. DBH and DPW
DPH.
in a coordinated effort, and then strike the word make, so we just have to provide immediate.
So they actually call that the one, that's the ones off.
Wands off?
Office of the neighborhood, they
All
get-
right, wands off.
What?
And something every month. All right.
Baltimore, we called it ONS, that's funny.
Sorry, Mr. Aaron Price.
Going to the next one, so therefore be it resolved, ANC 5F needs street outreach workers supported by the mayor's office, ONSE and MPD. Let me know when you're ready to move on.
The word need is, are we changing that to requests?
We could do requests instead,
Yes, yeah,
if
request.
that's amenable.
Sorry, continue.
It's okay. Therefore be it resolved, ANC 5F requests law enforcement leaders amongst MPD. Same. Therefore be it resolved, ANC 5F requests law enforcement amongst MPD.
All right.
Greater focus on violence and individuals perpetrating it through a coordinated effort between OAG, MPD, and the greater DC court system.
Sorry, one more time.
No, it's through a coordinated effort between OAG, MPD, and the greater DC court system.
Which?
Oh, I'm sorry. So this is therefore be it further resolved, ANC 5F. We need fewer arrests for minor infractions and greater police focus on gun violence and the individuals perpetrating it. So this is the 3rd to last on page 4.
Okay.
The one after it, therefore be it further resolved that ANC 5F supports OAG and the greater DC court system in ...
Can you push that up a second?
Yeah.
people are still scribbling, so we just give them a moment.
I'm good on mine.
Yeah.
All right.
Secretary.
Um,
is most important.
Yeah. Mhm.
I have it.
Yeah.
If we're moving too fast, say, hang on, and we'll pause. Yeah.
We're almost done. Last one
I
on page.
don't know about that.
I promise. Last one on page 4, therefore be it further resolved, ANC 5F endorses among top of page 5, therefore be it in conjunction with, sorry, if you went with OAG and the DC court systems.
So just for reference, Mr. Aaron Price is reading, and I have that written already, which is why I'm on. So I'm making sure what he's saying is the same that I have here.
Let you will send copies out to the commissioners.
Exactly. Yes.
We're turning the page.
The next one is therefore be it resolved, ANC 5F supports, or we can even say, just say requests MPD to support. If that's okay, so I'm just gonna go to that.
Is this, is
Is
this
it
a law
evidence?
that passed already, or what is this one?
Um,
I'm sorry,
to increase the enforcement.
MPD to increase the enforcement of.
Sorry, the clause before that where it says like dash Phil Mendelson, is that like a quote from?
Yes, that's a quote
Okay, that's a
from him.
direct quote
Correct.
from him, I see.
Yeah.
So this,
Maybe we should put it in parentheses. I think that's probably a little more clear.
okay, because I think the way that, not to wordsmith, but it seems like we're requesting MPD to support this quote. I think, it's just a little
Yeah,
confusing.
that's fair. I think that we change
In the
it.
words of Council Chair Phil
Yeah.
Mickelson or something.
Yeah. I would say that the DC Council then in that case, because really what we're asking for is for that to be implemented, that act to be implemented.
So it's not MPD or,
Yeah, because I think that's confusing if we're asking MPD to support a bill that hasn't passed.
Yeah, sorry, that's why,
Okay,
I'm sorry. So my recommendation would be that we eliminate MPD
okay.
I mean,
from that. And instead ANC 5F request the DC Council to support the Evidence-Based Gun Violence Reduction and Prevention Act of 2023.
and then what are we doing with the Phil Mendelson there?
We could just put his name in parentheses, because that's a direct quote from him.
What
Indicates
does
that-
enforcement of petty crime with punishment that includes discouragement of reoffending look like?
Yeah, so
What is that?
so I think there is a sense of from what I've heard from a lot of neighbors is that people continue to do little things like whether it's to use this example, or it could be the fare evasion, right? Someone who's jumping over the fare gates. Right now, there's almost no enforcement of that.
I think they are trying to do something about
They
it.
are,
They have a
they
law about something, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so enforcement of that, it could be, even though DC has legal, marijuana, it's technically only on private property, not public property. So that could be enforcement. And I think you know, it's not necessarily, that's not a like arrestable offense, right? It's more of making it feel like there is a sense of a social structure that we all agree to. So that's what that's referring to. But if you just, we can start that. So
I'm just wondering how.
I think there's a way to do it in which it can be random, it's consistent. You don't have to pull everyone over drinking a beer on the side. Once the action's taken, then of how we should be interacting as humans, I guess. Because
I was gonna save this, but since we're on the topic.
Yeah.
In Resolve Clause 9, and so let me read it. It says, we need fewer arrests for minor infractions. And then in the Resolve Clause we're talking about, which is number 14, it says,
so
now maybe, you know, so tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, because I think petty crime, you get fined for petty crime. I think that's the difference, is there's an enforcement mechanism for particular infractions where are not needed. But if there's confusion on that, then hey, I'm happy to take one of them off. So that it's
let me through Mr. Aaron Price, or it's his amendment through me.
Yes.
Let's deal on
So we just did the request MPD to increase the, going back to the conversation earlier, as I was Commissioner Sani, so the one that missed all of the different legislation. And to remove active and act now. The omnibus and act, and all the other ones are still up for consideration, active meeting council. And then
you know the last two, Bill.
The last two, from what I can tell, are still in consideration and not wrapped up in the Secure DC Omnibus Amendment Act, but I may be.
Yeah, okay. As I understand it, the last one there was see.
So that's the one that expired.
Yes, that expired, and I think even they may have passed.
Okay, continue.
The final is directly after the list of all the acts. So therefore, be it further resolved, ANC 5F DC councils or supports DC council bills. So just in DC council for bills.
DC council. Sorry, read that again.
Sorry, ANC 5F supports DC council bills. And the other ones already have offices attached to it.
All right. So that's everything you have?
That's everything I have.
Anything more on this amendment that you have? Okay. So I am moving just said so that we can debate it and discuss it. Is there a second on the amendment to add all of those things?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. All right. So now we'll move to debate or make any motions or debate any of the amendments. Anybody?
I would like to move to revisit that. I would like to debate that, be it further resolved, ANC 5F requests an increase. The one that used to say it, I don't know what it says now, but about petty crime with punishment that includes
the one that
every
Commissioner
offended.
Pinckney and I were discussing.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
that one. I would like to move to remove that clause from the resolution. Because I do agree that it conflicts with the clause calling for fewer arrests, and just to focus resolution more on gun violence, I think is the main topic of this resolution.
There's two ways we can do this. We can adopt everything else except that. We could put that an amendment to my amendment, I guess.
Okay, and your amendment was,
Was what you read, yeah.
okay. Let's,
I would suggest the former,
Yeah.
because it keeps us moving forward and it allows further amendments if anybody doesn't like what you want to do and wants to do something else.
okay, yes,
Okay,
let's do that.
all right. So Commissioner Anderson moves to divide the amendment and to take out clause 14 and 9, or just 14? 9's the companion one. If you want to deal with them both together.
The clause that mentions petty crimes, I
Okay,
think
so-
it's 14.
Okay, so clause 14. Is there a second to dividing that out from everything else?
Second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Gavon. Is there objection to considering that separately? All right, without objection, we'll consider that separately. All right, so bracket that for a moment. We'll come back to it. Anything else on the list that anybody wanted to?
I just have a quick question.
Commissioner Pinckney.
There are 2 people left on the agenda. Can we hear what they have to say first and then come back to these changes?
We can.
Okay, well, that would be nice,
All
I think.
Commissioner Pinckney moves to suspend the rules and proceed. I think it's, I have Mr. Bonner from Parker's office.
Yes,
and
and
that-
the Office of the Attorney
And the
General.
Office of the Attorney General.
And that's it, basically,
A second.
Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there objection?
if they're still on.
Without objection,
Yeah, they're still on.
we will do that. All right, so we'll come back. Mr. Bonner from Councilmember Parker's office. Thank you for your patience.
Hello. Okay. There we go. Actually, I'm going to turn it sideways. Can I share my screen to give my presentation?
Yes, you should have permission. Let me know if you.
Okay, awesome. Let me make sure I have my slides set up. One second. Thought I had this already pulled up. Apologies. In the meantime, hey everyone, my name is Sam Bonner. I work for Councilmember Zachary Parker's office, and I'm your constituent services coordinator. I live just on Lincoln and Rhode Island, so not too far from 5F, right on the edge. And I have my slides pulled up. So let me share my screen. Okay. Wonderful. Oh. Okay, can y'all see this?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So one thing I always recommend folks go to is ward5.us/news to see the most recent newsletter. And you can, in the top left, you can also sign up to subscribe. We send it out every Friday. It's got everything in there from what's going on in the community to what the council member's been up to and what he thinks about. Upcoming meetings, not too many in the area. The closest one would be for the activation of the Mammo lot at 1600 North Capitol Street, which would be a short-term activation. And we want to engage the community, and representative of Joe Mammo will be there. And that is tomorrow at 6 p.m. on Zoom. We recently got, I know there was a huge failure over the last couple of years where the crime lab lost their accreditation. As of December 2023, 3 of the 5 divisions have gotten their accreditation back. Fortunately, that means the firearms division and fingerprints division still lack their accreditation. These are vital divisions, especially when we're talking about safety and prosecution. So we're continuing to press the mayor and encourage you all to do so, as well as the deputy mayor for public safety and justice, to prioritize the accreditation of these labs so that the process of actually prosecuting and holding folks accountable is able to be done more in a more streamlined way, and so that we don't have to outsource everything. We've spoken a good amount about the Security DC Omnibus Bill. It has a lot of different provisions in it, some of which Councilmember wholeheartedly supports, as you can see listed here. There were some that were taken out in this final omnibus, which Councilmember had advocated for and worked with Councilmember Pinto on, specifically about bringing back the failed stop and frisk approach. And there's still some parts of the bill that the council member is wanting to continue to, be in conversation with his colleagues and ask about potentially put some amendments in. I'm not, can't speak for him on how it's all going to shake out, but specifically the concerns around rolling back MPD officer accountability and transparency. We're going to trust the men and women of the force. We want to make sure that their disciplinary records are transparent, and so we know who is patrolling our streets. So you can see more of his statement on his Twitter or in the most recent or previous public safety updates in the newsletter. We have our monthly public safety call, which is a chance to try and get everyone together to, one, create space for folks to ask questions and comments, as well as to push for this coordination. Yes, we need new laws, or yes, we need to make sure that our laws reflect, a system and a culture of accountability. But we also need our programs and stuff to actually work together. We need that real coordination and strategy for what we're actually doing, and not just throwing ideas and throwing out programs, which has been our approach for the last number of years. So we're really pushing for more coordination, and we're also bringing these bigwigs together and creating a space where folks can ask them questions. So Councilmember Brooke Pinto is the chair of the Committee on Judiciary Public Safety. Someone from CSOSA, which is actually a federal agency, but does supervision of folks who are released. The Director Hanlon from the Department of Buildings, and the commander of the 5th District, Sylvan Altier. You can sign up for that on ward5.us/monthly call. Tomorrow is our hearing on the district child tax credit. That's Councilmember Parker's, one of his big bills he's been pushing for. It was approved and endorsed, in fact, expanded on in the Tax Revision Commission from the chairman's mark. And this would just go towards the giving a tax credit to any families up to, I think it's not only low income, because we understand that we want everyone. It costs a lot of money to raise kids in the city, and we know that it could provide the support and help to reduce child poverty. So we're encouraged by that. We're hoping folks show up, and even though it's too late to register to testify tomorrow, you can still submit written testimony until next Wednesday, the 31st at 5 p.m. You can go to dccouncil.gov, hearings, hearing management system, and you can look for the hearings, any hearings upcoming. You can register to testify, and you can also submit testimony right there. Excuse me. The last thing I would want to share is oversight season is here. So the long drawn out budget process is beginning next week, or I think it already kind of started, where every hearing or every agency has within the relevant committee in council, a oversight hearing. That happens for the next month and a half or so. Then the mayor releases her budget, and then there's a whole nother set of hearings on each of the agencies on what should be their budget changes, tweaks, whatever, from the mayor's proposals. And then there's a whole bunch more negotiations and votes on different pieces of it. And then usually the final budget is passed in the summer. So that's all to say, we have an online form you can use, which I can try and find and drop in the chat. But also would encourage folks to just reach out to me, reach out to our office, and to show up to our budget forum, which is on February 3rd at 10 a.m. at the Lamont Riggs campus of UDC, or Bertie Bacchus campus in South Dakota Avenue. You can RSVP at ward5.us/budget forum. This is a great chance to get, really work in the weeds and talk to the council member directly around budget issues and budget requests. So really encourage folks to engage on this, and also feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to kind of say, hey, I want to advocate for this, or I want to understand this part better. I really had this thing happen to me. I think it was unacceptable from DPW or from the Office of Aging or whatever it is, and I can help you navigate the process to make sure that you can have your voice heard and show up to testify in the oversight process. So I'm going to go back and stop sharing. I'm going to drop my information in the chat, and I'm happy to take any questions people have.
Questions for Mr. Bonner? We'll start with commissioners and then we'll go to members of the public. Not seeing any commissioners, any members of the public. Use the raise hand feature to unmute yourself. Looks like you're getting off light this month, Mr. Bonner. Thank you. Any parting words for us?
No, I really appreciate y'all's engagement, and yeah, hopefully we can continue to push and for meaningful public safety investments. I know I really appreciate y'all kind of digging into the weeds on all this and putting out proposals, and hope we can even work beyond this, beyond just this bill, because as we saw, there was a big push to do a big bill the end of last year to increase pretrial, or the end of last budget season, so like in last summer, to increase pretrial detention. We did increase the jail population, but it hasn't necessarily changed the dynamics in terms of crime. So there are limitations to legislation. So, you know, we really want to make sure folks are engaged deeply on what are actually the systems that are going wrong, what are all the different loose pieces, and how can we make sure that our systems to prevent crime are actually being coordinated and effective. So appreciate y'all's partnership, and yeah, feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Mr. Bonner. Before we move to the next item, we are at 9:30, which is our automatic adjournment time. I will move that we extend time by 20 minutes, if there is a second. Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there objection? Without objection, adjournment time will now be 9:50 p.m. The next item, pursuant to Commissioner Pinckney's motion, is the Office of the Attorney General. Can we unmute? I'm not sure who it is.
It should be Alexandra King.
Ms. Kane. Well, Ms. Kane, I had the pleasure of watching your testimony on the U Street project, and I hope we can treat you more politely and better than I think you handled the cross-examination.
I appreciate that. We first of all appreciate you giving us time this evening. I know you had a lot on the agenda, so I will try to go through this as quickly as I can so you folks can get on with the rest of your business and get on with the rest of your night. I know zoning is not really what anyone wants to be dealing with at 9:30 at night. But we did want to have the chance to come before you and just talk briefly about Zoning Commission case 2324, which is a plan unit development in 5F. The actual address is 1708 through 1710 First Street Northeast. So this PUD is relatively early in the process. It still has not been scheduled for a set down meeting, which means the commission has not even started the beginnings of considering it. The Office of Planning has not issued a report. So it is still very early on, but we wanted to take that opportunity to come and sort of explain where we are in our analysis of it, and get some feedback from the ANC about any concerns that you have, as we start to move forward with, deciding what we want to do with this case. So I'm gonna share my screen if I can, and try and go through this presentation quickly. So as I mentioned, this is a plan unit development case. So PUDs are one of two main ways for developers, property owners to increase the height and density that's available on their properties. The other main tool to do that is a map amendment. So there's a couple key differences, and I apologize if this is sort of rehashing things that you already know, but we did sort of want to lay out the groundwork. So a map amendment, just changing the process, the property zoning classification. It does not consider a specific project. It does usually require that as part of that density increase that's being gained, that there be a proportional increase in the affordable housing that's required under the IZ Plus formula or program. But it's relatively limited. It's just that increase in matter of right standards. It does not come with any additional flexibility from the zoning regulations, so it therefore doesn't require any additional public benefits. PUDs, on the other hand, provide a whole wider range of flexibility. So additional height, additional density, flexibility from other requirements of the zoning regulations. And that's because it is looking at a specific project. And because it's getting all of these additional goodies, it therefore has to give back public benefits to the surrounding community and to the district as a whole. So sort of the common thread between both of these is that both types of cases have to be not inconsistent with the comprehensive plan. That's kind of a weird term, but it is intended to capture this idea that it's not sort of consistency, it's not locked in. There is flexibility for the commission to weigh different aspects of the comprehensive plan and decide that as a whole, the project, the map amendment is not inconsistent. So as I mentioned, PUDs are basically a balancing act. The district is giving a developer or property owner development incentives. They're getting additional height, additional density that they couldn't get otherwise. And in exchange for that, they have to give something back. So that's these public benefits. So this comes directly from the comprehensive plan. There's this idea enshrined in the comp plan of leveraging density increases, leveraging things that the district is giving to developers and property owners. And primarily that's intended to recapture some of that value that's created through these zoning processes to address the city's equity needs. And primarily that means creating affordable housing. So as I said, the district is giving something to property owners. They're increasing the density and therefore the land value. And in exchange for that, landowners, developers have to give something back, chiefly affordable housing. And that also, it comes from 224.9 in the comprehensive plan, which calls out affordable housing as one of the only high priority PUD benefits in a residential PUD. The other one being anti-displacement measures, which are basically two sides of the same coin. So in the PUD that is in 5F, they are currently requesting a density increase from the existing zoning that comes out to about 110% increase in buildable density. And in exchange for that, they're only proposing to increase their IZ proffer, their inclusionary zoning, affordable housing proffer, 56%. So that's sort of the differential. They're getting 110% increase in density and only a 56% increase in their IZ. So part of the problem that we have been facing with PUDs, that ANCs have been facing with PUDs, is that when a developer comes forward with a benefits package, how do you go about evaluating that? How is it possible to evaluate whether what the developer is offering in exchange for all of the incentives that they're getting, balances that out? And heretofore, it really has been something of a black box. So what OAG has done is try to find a metric within the regulations to evaluate that density increase that they are getting and what that means in terms of affordable housing. So as I mentioned, map amendments are subject to the IZ Plus program, which basically serves to recapture a portion of the increased density and use that for a proportionate increase in the affordable housing that's required. So that usually comes out to a range somewhere between 8.5% and 20%, which is considerably more than the matter of right IZ standards. Now, just to be completely clear, the IZ Plus program does not apply to PUDs. But what we are doing is saying this metric, on the other hand, provides a valuation system for that additional density in the terms of affordable housing. So that's the metric that we have been using when we evaluate PUD cases. And this has been the case pretty much for the past year and a half in all of the PUD cases that we have intervened in. That has been both in support and in opposition, but it's all based on this metric that comes from the zoning regulations. So when we apply that to 2324, the current case, as I mentioned, the PUD is requesting 110% increase in density over the maximum that's permitted in the existing zone. And what IZ Plus would require for that is a 20% IZ set aside of the residential gross floor area. So in this PUD, that comes out to 7,982 square feet. So then what that looks like, and I apologize for dumping math on everybody at this time of night, but the IZ or the PUD's current proffer, as you see at the top, is 6,480 square feet. So that comes out to about 16.2% of the residential GFA. So we took that as our starting point. We do note that this PUD is providing 2 3-bedroom IZ units. 3-bedroom units are critically needed in the district. We do need more family-sized housing. So we, in our evaluation process, have wanted to give credit for providing these larger units, as well as providing, more deeply affordable units. So the sort of credit system that we have developed for this comes out of the rent tables that DHCD uses when they're calculating the maximum rents for different sized units, the different affordability levels. So what that means for a 3-bedroom unit is it's basically a 25% credit. So applying that 25% to the GFA that's devoted to 3-bedroom units gives the applicant a bonus of 972 square feet. So adding that in to their current IZ proffer, it adjusts it to 7,452 square feet, 18.7% of the residential GFA. And again, IZ Plus is calling for 20%. That's 7,982 square feet. So that difference, the shortfall between what the applicant is currently proffering, that adjusted number, and what IZ Plus calls for, is 530 square feet, which is 1.3%. So they are a little short by our metrics, but not by much. So in looking at that and looking at, potential solutions for this, we've identified 2 based on the way that the project is configured. The easiest, most straightforward way would be to switch one of the smallest IZ units. So that's on either lot 13 or 15B. I don't know how familiar everybody is with the site, but there are 4 lots effectively that have been designated for IZ. So basically switching one of those IZ units for one of the smallest market rate units. So the difference between those 2 building sizes, as you see here, comes out to about 660 square feet. So a little bit more than the shortfall, but that's probably the easiest solution as we see it. In the alternative, what they could potentially do is convert one of the ground floor units that's currently being offered as market rate to an IZ unit. Now that would be approximately 975 square foot unit. So it's a little bit bigger than what they are currently, than the current shortfall. But that would be a potential other option as we see it. So in terms of where we are right now, we have not finalized our position. These numbers and calculations are all our initial analysis of the case. But we wanted to sort of present this to the ANC and get your feedback, understand any concerns that you may have about the development. From here, our plan is to reach out to the developer through their counsel and discuss it with them, present these potential solutions and start a dialogue with them about sort of where we can go from here. And from that point on, we will then determine what OAG's final position is going to be on the application. And of course, we will be circling back with the ANC to sort of let you know where we land ultimately. So I know that's a lot of information, but that is where we are. I'm going to put our contact information up here. So this is all of us in the equitable land use section. And happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about this, or about any other zoning issues that you may be aware of that we can help with. But yeah, and again, thank you for your time this evening. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Kane. We'll now do questions or comments from commissioners. Did you want to start, Commissioner Pinckney?
Pardon me. I have several questions. I will call you tomorrow. We don't have time tonight. Sylvia Pinckney.
Appreciate that, Commissioner Pinckney. And certainly let us know kind of what the next steps turn out to be based on the conversation. Commissioner Anderson, your question.
Just to keep things short, I know it's late and I really appreciate all the data that you presented. Just considering that it's late, could you kind of give us like in plain speak, like a short version, like I know that there was a lot of data presented, but if we could give us like a 1 minute, this is kind of where you're at without kind of the numbers attached to it would be helpful, I think. Because I think it's quite like technical information.
No, completely understand. So the very short version of where we are is that based on our initial assessment, the HUD's affordable housing proffer is short of where we believe it should be. But we are going to try and work with the developer to see if they can move it up from where it is currently.
Okay, I think that's really helpful in helping understand. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Kane. And it sounds like Commissioner Pinckney will be in touch soon.
Yes.
Sounds good. Thank you,
All right.
guys.
Order of
Thank you.
business is back where we were. I think Commissioner Anderson had an amendment. Trying to remember, did we adopt all of the amendments other than, trying to remember where we were.
I believe so. I think we
Okay.
adopted the amendments and then we separated the
Okay.
amendment and we are at the amendment, we are at the
You're at
clause.
your amendment.
Yes,
And
my
so I'm going
amendment.
to recognize you to speak on it. Time is
Okay.
9:43.
Excellent. I'll try to be really quick, but I think to the points that Commissioner Bishop Huntman and Commissioner Pinckney raised, it does seem that the two clauses referencing minor I think unless DC government defines minor infraction and petty crime differently, and recognizing that this is an important bill that I think we want to try to pass this evening and to not extending time, I think the easiest solution potentially would be to delete I move to delete the amendment on the increase in enforcement on petty crime so that this particular resolution focuses primarily on the issue of gun violence. Recognizing fewer arrests for minor infractions, I think is more in line with what I would like to see personally.
So Commissioner Anderson, I'll say this,
Yes.
tell me what's wrong. She moves to strike that entire resolve clause.
Yes.
That ANC requests. It reads now, an increase of, or potentially MPD to increase enforcement of petty crime with punishment that encourages discouragement of reoffending. Correct?
That is correct.
All right. Is there a second for that amendment? Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there objection? Without objection, that amendment is struck. Further amendments? Commissioner Sani.
As Mr. Bonner talked a little towards it, but this was something I had concern with when I was cramming through the very hard to read amendment legislation that was being voted on for Security C. I do have concerns about some of the rollbacks and adjustments they're making to the MPD oversights that have landed in the past several years. Specifically, Security C allows for police to touch the neck and potentially re-engage in chokeholds with people they're arresting. Additionally, it rolls back, it allows them to consult their body cam footage before filing their reports internally. And it also rolls back some of the transparency things in previous legislation around reporting out MPD misconduct as it is enforced and managed internally. Those things, well, I agree that the police are partners here. We also need to be able to trust them. And the best way to show trust is by, as we do things, up in the upper. So I would move that if we choose to support the Security C amendment, I would support adding another therefore clause with a proposed.
Might I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
5C turns out had the same concern,
Mhm.
and they meet before us in January, so they already acted on it. So they moved to endorse Security C, but they added the following language. With the condition that the council revisit in cooperation with civil rights organization advocates provisions regarding police officer accountability and misconduct and other provisions originating from single sponsor bill. I don't know what that means, but I guess stop at misconduct. I don't know whether it's that. It was in my pocket, so I wanted to offer it.
No, thank you. That's a good spine for it. I think my only riff on that is that I would request that it focuses heavily on the transparency of officer misconduct documentation.
I interrupted you with your amendment.
This is currently providing us for access. The 5C
Oh,
clause.
you want 5C language? Okay, so adding after where it says Security C Omnibus Amendment Act of 2023. By the way, it should be 2024, I think. So
Yes.
this amendment.
Yes, please.
Happy New Year. With addition, we're in cooperation with civil rights organizations and advocates provisions regarding police officer accountability and misconduct.
And I would add to that, including but not limited to public availability of disciplinary reports and other demerits, maybe wrong word, other pieces of other pertinent pieces of information on the police officer's record.
And is the intent to allow it to be, to police records to be public?
No, I want to maintain what is the status quo.
Okay,
Because
got
this
it.
is really
Okay.
Commissioner Sani has made that amendment. Does the secretary, do you have the amendment written down?
I tried to type.
Okay, I texted you the 5C portion.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Sani has made the amendment. Is there a second? Yep. Is that a second?
Yeah, I would second.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Galvan. Is there objection to the amendment? Without objection, that amendment is adopted. Commissioner Sani, do you have anything further?
No, that was the amendment.
Commissioners, Commissioner Anderson.
I add to that clause that you added, I did like the language about consulting with the Office of Human Rights that I see added. So I just proposed to add that because I think that your edit was mostly, Commissioner Sani was about transparency, correct? I would like to.
My understanding was we adopted the
That
5C plus what you just
Okay,
said.
got it. Okay, helpful.
If that's anybody. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Then I'm good.
All right, further amendments. Sorry, on number 9, which it's the 4th up from the bottom on page 4. It reads, therefore be it for resolved, ANC 5F, we need fewer arrests for minor infractions and greater police focus on gun violence and the individuals perpetrating it. I would move to amend that resolve clause to read, therefore be it further resolved, ANC 5F requests greater public focus on gun violence, et cetera, and the individuals perpetrating it, just to tighten that up. And especially taking out that phrase minor infractions, which I think can be in the eye of the beholder.
Okay.
Second.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at.
Do you say greater public focus or greater police focus?
I'm sorry, greater police focus. What it says. So striking from we need fewer arrests for minor infractions and striking that and adding the word requests.
Sorry, which I still can't find the clause number. Okay.
That was one that we thought was an intention. That helps.
I'll make that motion. Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Is there objection? Without objection. Further amendments? We are at time, which means the question is automatically called unless somebody wants to extend.
I would like to
time.
extend.
All right, Commissioner Galvin goes to extend time by
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there objection? Without objection. All right, we're on the whole thing, the whole enchilada. So anybody got anything they want to change, add, or say?
One
Commissioner
thing,
Pinckney.
I don't even know where I am in this. Page 4. And I think they're, I don't know. Therefore, be it resolved that ANC 5F implores MPD to significantly increase physically pulling over individuals who actively engage in traffic infractions, having outstanding tickets, expired registration, temporary. Well, MPD doesn't get into all of that. Parking enforcement does. They come around, they see that your tags are overdue, you're ticketed. That's ticketing stuff. That's not MPD.
As I understand it, it can be a combination. In my discussions with the deputy mayor a few months ago, she mentioned that MPD was looking into doing enforcement of expired tags and things like that. But you're right to the point of registration and things like that.
With crime at the highest rate it's been.
I think you're on the one we already passed.
Okay.
Oh.
It's just.
I think you're on carjackings.
Got it, okay.
This is a lot.
It is a
I'm
lot.
quite lost sometimes myself.
Mr. Anderson?
I have a question.
Mhm.
I think in the the current resolution that we're talking about, there are a couple of whereas clauses that reference alcohol. But I don't think it's referenced in the resolve clause. Is that correct? Or is it referenced in the, I just want to make understand like why they're mentioned, because I think in a different one there was something about like impaired. I think under the gun violence, there's not necessarily something that we're recommending the DC government to do.
Yes, the intent here was to remain silent on that from a therefore be it resolved, because there's already kind of a committee that's associated with considering that, and that's more of just to put on notice DC Council and other folks that these are very related, and that further council action, but there aren't any specifics associated with that.
Okay. I would move to strike the two clauses, just whereas alcohol is an important contributor to interpersonal violence, and whereas studies have consistently showed that the density of alcohol outlets is positively associated with violent crime, for the aforementioned reason that there's no action that we're recommending.
Commissioner Anderson moves to strike two of the whereas clauses. They are the third from the last whereas clause and the fourth from the last whereas clause, the one reading whereas alcohol is and whereas studies have consistently. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sani. Is there objection to striking those whereas clauses? Without objection, the clauses are struck. Further amendments or discussion? Seeing none, we will proceed to a vote. And I am speaking slowly in case somebody wants to not immediately move to a vote.
Aye. Oh, sorry. No, that wasn't one. All right. That's right, yeah.
All right. Debate having concluded and time having lapsed, we'll proceed to vote on the resolution on gun violence improvements for the District of Columbia, sponsored by Commissioner Galvan and Commissioner Hurst, as amended. Everybody understand what we're voting on?
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Hurst.
Aye.
Commissioner Hurst votes aye. Commissioner Sani.
Aye.
Commissioner Sani votes aye. Commissioner Williams absent. Commissioner Galvan.
Aye.
Commissioner Galvan votes aye. Commissioner Anderson.
Aye.
Commissioner Anderson votes aye. Commissioner Bishop Henchman, I vote aye. Commissioner Pinckney.
Aye.
Mr. Pinckney votes aye. By vote of 6-0, the resolution is adopted.
Thank you all.
Time has expired on the meeting, but I will ask, is there any other business that any commissioner has for the commission this month?
I would simply like to say that we've had one snowfall. We are having another one, I think this weekend or something. When your constituents call you about having their alleys cleared, DPW does not clear alleys of snow.
It's good to know.
Good to know.
I know we are past time, but let me just see if anybody has announcements that they want to make. Commissioner Galvan.
I just want to say thank you for the robust public debate and everyone's help and assistance on this.
Commissioner Sani.
Two things. I wanted to thank the Public Safety and Health Committee for, I know a lot of work went into that. It's a lot of words. It's a very charged topic, so I appreciate everyone stepping up and giving us something like engaged in the community on this. The other thing is next Tuesday at 6 p.m. there is a public safety walk led by MPD in Edgewood. We'll be meeting at 2800 6th Street Northeast. I just received the flyer for it today after asking for it. So
What was that address one more time?
2800 8th Street. Sorry, I said 6th Street, 8th Street Northeast. Basically, do drop in MBT entrance on that block. I'll forward that along to through the Public Safety Committee as well as the commissioners, so everyone's aware of it. I think it's more of a general one to maybe talk about some of the incidents that have happened on the MBT recently, but it's always just a good chance to engage people who can actually make a meaningful difference in community safety.
What time? Sorry.
6 p.m.
6 p.m. Got it. Okay. Commissioner Anderson?
Two quick announcements just on the snow front. Serve DC is always looking for volunteers for, I think, the Snow Heroes program, but both to volunteer, but also if you know of neighbors who may need help in dealing with, may need help with snow in front of their property. So Serve DC is the agency to contact there. And then second is just wanted to put out there that we're planning on discussing the BZA case 20180 next meeting, which is an alley lot. Bring your opinions and thoughts to that meeting. You have some. This is my notice.
Commissioner Hurst?
I need some signatures from the secretary and chairperson on.
And it is the outcome, not the incoming. Everything.
Okay, good enough.
This is why it doesn't take effect till the end of the meeting, so that the outgoing does all the business for this meeting, and then after that, I'm liberated. So, all right.
There we go. That's 5 signatures.
All right, thank you. From me, tomorrow night, Eckington Parks and Arts has a meeting. If you're interested in participating, it's at 7 p.m. Go to their website. If you can't find the information, contact me. And then I'll be having a community meeting at the Gale, sponsored by the Gale Tenants Association, on Tuesday, the 30th at 7 p.m. So I guess maybe I'll go to your security walk at 6 p.m. and then go down to the Gale for my meeting. And we're going to have some government agencies there answering questions from the tenants.
Awesome.
Without any further business, we stand adjourned at 9:59 p.m. Our next meeting is, we changed it, February 20th, 2024, and Commissioner Anderson will tell you all where. At some point.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good night, Commissioner. Happy New Year.
That pen out, man. All right, here we go.